Nick Hamity is hanging with us. We're talking through the NBA playoffs here, and Nick, of course, part of Zone Coverage. So, look, we asked you about the Cavaliers and the Pacers. Should be a fun, maybe plucky series. You already mentioned you think the Cavs are too good, and not only that, you tipped your hand saying that you think the Cavs are, potentially going to make life difficult for the Boston Celtics when
Yeah.
they meet. And so you already, and look, music to my ears. I'm a Celtics guy, but you already are just completely casting off the New York Knicks. There is no respect whatsoever for the Knicks in this series against the Celtics. And look, the Vegas odds makers agree. I minus 900, minus 1,000, whatever it is, to win the series for Boston. So a lot of people are expecting the defending champs to more than hold serve after taking care of the Orlando Magic in a gentleman's sweep. But what is it about this series that just doesn't have you believing the Knicks are posing any sort of threat?
What we watched happen in the regular season for games that everyone was amped up for. The Knicks got smoked by the Celtics every time these teams played. Those games were played very similar to playoff games, a lot of intensity. And guys, I watched Karl Anthony Towns for so many years. I love him. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. But the biggest moments, he shrinks. It sucks. I hate that it happens to him, but it's the truth. And I wasn't thrilled with the way, outside of a couple big threes at the end of what was it, Game 6 or Game 5 last series. I didn't like the way that he played against the Pistons. He's a guy that needs to be a volume shooter on this team for this team to excel. And he's doing what he usually does in the playoffs, where he'll have games where he shoots 11 or 12 shots and it makes absolutely no sense. And they need him to show up. Jalen Brunson, way too dependent on the foul. Boston is a disciplined team. We know that they've got the best defensive unit in the league. They've got the best three-point shooting team in the league. I could go down their whole entire roster and tell you why I think they're going to shut down the New York Knicks, but I haven't seen enough from the Knicks, especially on the offensive side, to keep up with the Boston Celtics the way that they play defense.
You guys, I can't remember a series price this crazy in a long time. You mentioned it, Adam, minus 1,000. I've seen that. I've seen minus 800. I think early on I saw minus 500, but nothing lower than that. But seriously, minus 1,000 is out there and readily available if you want to lay it. Yeah. I would think, Nick, you got to find different ways to bet this. Yes, I think the Celtics are going to win the series too, but that price seems outrageous. Yeah. I guess the question you ask yourself is, how many games, if any, can the Knicks win? Do you make the bet Celtics in 5? Do you make the bet Celtics in 6? Do you do you lay a game and a half? How do you treat that? Because again, minus 800, minus 1,000, I think that's way too expensive.
Yeah, and I'll do you one better, just because I wouldn't be surprised to see the Celtics run through them in 4 or 5 here. I'm going to roll with the Celtics team total over 111.5 on Monday. New York is 22nd in the NBA in defending the three on the road, and Boston is – we've seen what Boston can do. Boston averaged 122 points against the Knicks this season, 132 one of the meetings at home, 111.5. That's just too low, even with the playoff pace of play. The Celtics, like I just mentioned, I would say under 5.5 games here would be a fun play. But just in case the Knicks do win a second game here, I'm rolling with the over of 111.5 tomorrow. And I'm going to double that with the Celtics minus 8.5. I think the Celtics are going to make a big statement tomorrow, or on Monday, excuse me.
For anybody watching SportsGrid TV and you see these graphics come your way on your screen, covering up us talking heads, and you see Knicks picks, I feel like I'm burying the headline. Wolves to win the West plus 500. Everyone all season long has wanted to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and yet you, albeit with some admitted bias, you're a Timberwolves guy. How much of that is bias versus not believing in OKC and thinking this is now Ant's time?
Yeah, and I want to add one more thing. The Knicks are 0-10 versus Boston, OKC, and Cleveland this season. So now that we can talk about the good stuff, the Wolves are 5-1 to win the West right now. I love them. I'm not a super biased fan, I promise you guys. I know that seems crazy for me to say, but I've watched this team lose every single year.
Stand up for a second. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. No, I'm wearing my colors proudly. I actually attended every single one of the games in the first round. Shout out to Big Joe. I was center court for a Lakers Wolves game in Minnesota. It was one of the coolest things courtside. I got to hear Luka talk smack to the fans. One thing I really learned about that is the Wolves are an intense team. They're not afraid of anybody. I said it last year on Above the Rim this is bigger than the KG days in Minnesota. I'm not afraid of either of the two teams that we have to get through to make it to the Western Conference Finals. As I mentioned, the Rockets' too big look against Naz and Rudy doesn't scare me. The Warriors absolutely don't have the firepower to keep up with this team. But it starts with Anthony Edwards. It moves on to what we just saw with Rudy Gobert inside. We've got Naz Reid, and Julius Randle is balling. The Wolves are 20-5 since Randle came back from injury. I mean, nobody wants to talk about that, but that's crazy. Julius Randle's playing like an absolute monster right now. And then on top of that, you got guys like Dante DiVincenzo, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels is playing his best basketball of the season. Terrence Shannon Jr. came in for an energy boost in Game 4. We've seen the Timberwolves dig deep. They've got 10 guys that are better than most teams. 6th, 7th man. It's actually to a point now where the depth of this team has me believing in them, not just to make it out of the West, but I think they're going to make it interesting if they do make it to the NBA Finals.
Nick, I wonder, you would know better than me, but I believe that the Warriors won the regular season, in the battle directly with the Timberwolves. If we do see that matchup come to fruition, and obviously you feel strongly about the Timberwolves, what do you think the series price is there? We're talking about, Boston minus 800. Are the Timberwolves minus 300? What's the number there?
I don't think minus 300. I think it's going to be closer to like a minus 150 with Curry and Butler on the other side. I mean, if it comes in at minus 200 or over, it's a little steep. But realistically, that's the matchup that the NBA probably wants. That's the matchup from an entertainment value that I want. You got Jimmy Butler going up against his former team with the Minnesota Timberwolves. We don't like Jimmy Butler in Minnesota. Rudy Gobert doesn't like Draymond Green and vice versa. It would be a lot of fun. And the way that the Warriors have been playing with this slowed down style of a supporting cast not really getting it done, we just saw the Wolves shut down everybody on the Lakers besides Luka and LeBron. They shot 7 for 49, 14.9% in Game 5 from 3, and they were still able to pull that off. I mean, that's the type of Wolves team that this is. They're going to grind it out against either of these two teams. I don't see Houston or the Warriors making it more than 6 games against the Wolves, as long as the Wolves don't have a complete power outage like we saw last year against Dallas. I mean, I didn't see that coming either, so I'll be honest. Last year I was a little surprised in the finals when they kind of slowed down, but this is a different Wolves team. I don't know if anybody's watched Year 5 on YouTube with Anthony Edwards, but it gives a lot of insight and how he's feeling about this team and his legs and compared to last year. I would not bet against the Wolves at any number whatsoever right now. Especially with these 2 weak teams. When we see the Thunder, we can talk about it, but the Rockets or the Warriors, I'd be very disappointed if they gave the Wolves even a run for their money.
How much are you sprinkling futures in the NBA right now? I mean, obviously you just mentioned really liking the Wolves to win the West at 5-1, but this wouldn't be a full unit play by any means, but would you sprinkle, I'm looking at FanDuel, the Celtics to beat the Timberwolves 11-1, put a little something on the other side, Timberwolves to beat the Celtics 29-1, that it's, maybe each one's a quarter unit play, something like that. If, with, I don't know, the level of conviction that obviously you're talking about these two teams in their respective conferences and maybe considering investing in some exactas.
Yeah, before the playoffs started, I took the Celtics at 2-1. I couldn't believe I got that value. So I'm just hoping the Wolves get there so I can hedge some bets and hammer the Wolves big time because they will be a plus number. But that's Anthony Edwards Finals MVP. That's my futures there. Otherwise, the Celtics to beat anybody, whoever you think's coming out of the West, the Celtics to win against that team is a good future. Otherwise, you're not getting enough value there.
Nick Hamady, again, senior sports writer over at Zone Coverage. He is on Twitter at @TheRealTinyNick. Nick, thank you so much. Best of luck to your Timberwolves.